You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Are you ready to learn the 3 secrets to launching a successful podcast? Hi, I'm Bill, a recent client of the Podcast Mogul. If you've been thinking about starting a podcast but aren't sure where to begin, he's got you covered. He is hosting a free webinar where he will share the 3 secrets that can help you launch, grow, and monetize your podcast without any fancy equipment or technical headaches. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot now and let him help get your podcast off the ground.
Welcome to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Join the Podcast Mogul Phil Better as he interviews successful entrepreneurs that make their living in the digital world. Now, let's join your host, Phil Better, and his special guest today on Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast.
Welcome to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm, of course, your host with the most, Phil Better, and today we're with the Whale Boss Ryan Staley. Ryan, thank you so much for being a guest. How about you introduce yourself to my audience?
Yeah, man. So do you want like my superhero origin story? Is that what
Yes, the simple fact that you said superhero origin through the geek in me just exploded. So yes, I want all the grimy details, how your Uncle Ben passed away and told you the most iconic words of life.
All right. So yeah, I won't get super long-winded so people like black out and forget what I'm talking about. So, however, yeah, I mean, I've been in, just to give you this, I started off in sales when I got excited by the idea of getting a paper route, right? That just lit me up because I could get paid based on the outcome that I produced, right? And there's a whole story. I'll give you the hyper bridge version of it, but I progressed into a busboy, and to the point at an Italian restaurant where you smell like gritty food, like
marinara sauce and the garlic bread.
Yeah, like fried mozzarella, the whole, and you just kind of reek. So I'm like on my way home driving, and I see this sign, and the sign says, hourly rate, get paid by an hour, $14.95 an hour, right? Which, I mean, I'm not a spring chicken, but I'm not super young either. And so the busboy gig was like $3.75 plus tips, right?
Yeah,
so,
$14 sounds a lot better, and it doesn't sound like you're going to stink after your shift.
Yeah, exactly. But this is the awesome thing. So I went to this, what they call, and I'm doing air quotes, group interview. And in this group interview, essentially, they had, 30 people in a room, and they kind of gave this vague overview and this like shell company looking like kind of what Dr. Evil has about the shell company that he has, right? And so, anyways, long story short, the guy's like, hey, I really like the questions you asked. Like, why don't you come in this office? And so we get in this office, and it's revealed to me that like the job that I was applying for was selling Cutco knives, right? Which I was like, this is amazing. I just hit up all my parents' friends and sell them knives. And so then hurried up, backed out of the car because they made an offer for me on the spot. Of course they did, right? Yeah. Backed out, and I smashed right into a pole with the minivan with wood grain siding, right? But I'm like, hey, no big deal. I'm going to crush it. I'm making thousands and thousands of dollars this summer. Rush home, tell my parents how excited I am, and then got stopped dead in my tracks when they said, hey, there's no way in hell you're getting that job because all you're going to be doing is hitting up our friends to buy knives. and then I had to hit them with oh, by the way, I crashed the car. It's like $600 in damage of money that I didn't have. So that got me started down the sales path, man. About 20 years I've been in sales, first 10 as an individual contributor. second 10 as more of a leader, sales leader, and then eventually a vice president of strategic accounts, where I grew a business unit from 0 to 30 million in annual recurring revenue with only 4 salespeople over a period of about 5.5 years. In a declining market with no marketing. I mean, we had everything going against us, and basically took the first principles I learned from that and am now helping companies scale their revenue on the path to 25 or 30 million from, that 500K million mark. So that's what I'm doing now, man.
That is awesome. That going from, being that paper boy to the bus boy to selling knives, now you're helping companies make 30 million annually recurring, which is crazy money for like any business to have. Where did your entrepreneurial spark really hit you? Was it during your sales that you're like, hey, I think I can really do this by myself? Or was it when you got that company with 4 salespeople to 30 million?
Yeah, so I would say it's kind of interesting, man, because and I'm sure a lot of anybody that's in sales or has a sales background, you start to see these really big contracts coming in, and you get paid good money, don't get me wrong, but it's only a fraction of what the company is making off of it. And so eventually, after a while, you're going through this and you're seeing these big dollar amounts come in, and you're seeing the owner who gets in at 9:30, leaves at 3, and he's flying a private jet and in a Rolls Royce, and is pressing on you to make more money. So eventually you're like, hey, maybe I should be the owner. Maybe I should make a run at that. And and so that eventually that kind of planted the bug, I think. And then eventually it kind of got to a point where my whole life started to crash down because I was working so much and getting pushed so hard that all my relationships started to melt down. And so that forced me to take a look, to step back at everything, reassess, and, kind of build things from the ground up internally. I had to rebuild myself. I had to reconnect with my wife and my daughter and just other relationships. I was so focused on work, to the point where, growth was a primary mechanism, and working on myself mentally from a personal development perspective. And then that led to kind of the evolution of how I got to where I'm at today.
Yeah, I love it. It's something that a lot of entrepreneurs this season have really pushed on. They've hit a wall or something, but they pushed through it. They found their why again, and it just doubled down on the excellence, 10x their progress and their abilities with whatever they're doing. So it's glad to be another recurring theme with you, the Whale Boss, because that's a great title to have. Everybody knows what a whale is. It's the big sucker, the big money person.
Yeah, well, that's the name of my company. I don't call myself the Whale Boss.
You should. I'm just saying.
I don't have I'm confident in myself, but I don't have massive ego. But dude, going back to what you're saying, the big reason why I wanted to change, so that planted the bug, and I didn't fully finish my thought. Part of it was you start making decent money, you start doing really well, and then you're like, is this all there is, right? Is this, I'm making some rich guy richer, and he's treating me like I'm a horse at Arlington, where he just keeps whipping me, even in leadership, even when I had equity in the company. And then it's well, I want to do something that really helps people, that helps them fulfill a dream or helps them create something, or, so it's that with a midlife crisis slapped in there as well. I would say those are kind of some of the main reasons.
Okay. I love that. Anybody who needs a reason to change and get that change to help people is another recurring theme as well, and I love it. Helping people grow makes you grow as well, so because you get to learn from them. So I love another, again, hitting hard at that point of helping others. I do want to talk about one of your favorite failures. It's an interesting one you put down the answer to. It's getting fired after spending the bulk of your money on a house while your wife was 5 months pregnant with your first child. Mm-hmm. Why is that your favorite failure?
Yeah, so that was one, and let me preface it with it sucked at the time, of course.
Yes, most failures do suck at the time.
And I got another one that's a doozy too, but I rebuilt myself from the ground up, and that led to the evolution of my career because I changed from just worrying about me and myself to becoming a leader. So that was a transformation at that point, because I wasn't just worrying about myself anymore. I was worried about my wife to provide and my unborn son who was going to be there. And, so that set me down the path in terms of becoming a leader, which there's some amazing things that happened because of that. And I would say that's probably one of the biggest ones. And then the second one is, and this actually might even be better than that now that I think of it, is like that point in which, like I said, I started to lose everything, even though I was working hard and having performance results, because this was about 6 years ago, and made me really look at myself from the inside out, see some things I didn't like, rebuild myself, and just really enjoy life in a lot of ways that I never really did before. By whether it be by learning or whether it be by, being a better dad, a better husband, a better friend, or helping other people too, which was something that was never really on my radar as I was going through that selfish part of my life. So yeah, man.
I like it. It's great. Just again, getting off of that selfish mentality, opening yourself up to helping other people. Now, with your system, the Whale Boss system, and that, what are some of the common maybe blockages people usually have when they come in to their, like, Ryan, I need help. How can I unblock this? Or what's the common denominator you find with some of your clients?
Yeah, and so I kind of look at it like a computer, like a company is like a computer, right? There's all these different things that are going on. There's new applications, new people that are coming on. There's new interactions. And what I'm finding is that a lot of the folks I work with, they don't have an operating system for sales. And so there's 3 core operating systems that I've identified. One is whale scaling. Another is, exponential expansion. And the third is referrals for revenue on repeat. Those 3 operating systems can massively scale a company with very, very limited resources. And so I'll see companies that have maybe half of one of those in place. However, if they just stack those 3, they would blow up at a really fast rate and a controlled, scalable rate to grow at the rate that they want to.
Ooh, I like that. Now, what are some of the lessons you've learned from your successes? You have here, best lesson learned from a success is anything is possible if you have grit and never give up. Now, I'm guessing this is referring back to this, your favorite failure with losing your job after buying the house, and you're just persevering through the hardships to come to where you are now, or was it referring to something else?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's funny because I've evolved. I mean, that was one of the great lessons, because there's a lot that I was able to accomplish, even though I shouldn't have, because of that, right? Like, I'm not naturally athletic. Not naturally an athlete. Like, there's those kids that were like really good at throwing and really good at fast. I was none of those, right? But like, I found a way to like start in football in high school, then get like a scholarship in college and play in college, even though like I had no or very, very limited God-given athletic ability, right? So that's like, that's something that anyone can relate to. On the business side too, like there was a lot of situations that I probably shouldn't have been successful in, but I just like, because of the hard work ethic that my parents ingrained in me, helped me break through. And now I'm kind of like past the point where I'm trying to work smarter instead of harder, and not just grind it out, but what's the best path, and cut off tons of time and effort. And so it's just kind of an interesting evolution, but that's like where that comes from, Phil.
No, I like it. It is true. Like, if you persevere through something, you'll have the basic template, so that next time it comes up, you're like, I already know how to do it. Now I can revise it, make it better. And so you can also help other people with it too. But it also shows how strong and powerful you are, when you come through those hardships. But also, if you want something bad enough, you can get it. Like, you got the scholarship, even though you yourself say you don't have that athletic ability. But I can see that arm. I think you're a great quarterback.
And I wasn't even a quarterback. I was a D lineman, man. I mean, I wore like husky pants when I was a kid, and just had to fight my way through it. So it's all good, though.
What would you say is your favorite success that you've had?
Yeah, I think I have the most pride in I was looking at this through the lens of like work, right? So there's personal aspects. I'm really proud that I'm an engaged dad with my kids, and I have a great relationship with my kids, and I'm engaged in what they do. And because there's a lot of people that aren't truly present right now, right? So that's something that from a personal perspective, from a business perspective, it's that growth, which at the time and even closely after, like, I didn't even realize that was that special. Because like I was telling you, I was just kind of getting whipped along the way, like do more. We got bought by investors, which the investors were great. However, when you get bought by investors, because of the motivation, it materially can change the whole dynamic of the company, which it did. And so we grew that business unit from 0 to 30 million annual recurring revenue, and then another 30 million in capital revenue. And there's only 4 salespeople. Now, Phil, I see companies that are hiring, 20 SDRs, and they're hiring 20 salespeople to get to that number. So to be able to do that of what some companies would take 40 people to do and only do it with 4, I thought was, I'm pretty proud of that, because I didn't have tenured people either. These were people that had no business to business sales experience. They started, and they worked their butts off. So I give them credit. I mean, they're the ones that did that, but I helped lead them and guide them on the path there. So that's something I'm one of the best successes I've had.
I think that is a super impressive thing that you did. You were 5 people in the department, and you went on to create $30 million for annual recurring revenue. That is impressive. Even if it was like a team of 15, like, still, it's such an impressive number to get to when you had 0 leads and that for it, like you and an inexperienced staff, and you led them to that, and that's a big thing. You should be. That's why you're called the Whale Boss. That's why I'm calling you the Whale Boss.
Thanks,
what is your ultimate goal? Like, if I snap my fingers, could be at the pearly gates, could be 15, 20 years down the line. What is the ultimate goal for you, Ryan?
Yeah, so I want to live a life where I've truly connected and made a really positive impact on my loved ones, my community, my friends, my family. And then at the same time, from a business community, made an impact. And I have a pretty ambitious impact goal because I believe that there's an opportunity to help a lot of companies out there that have been conditioned to believe that the only way for them to grow and scale is to get venture capital funding. So many amazing tech innovations that, I just read this, Phil, that only 3% of companies that get seed investments have a successful exit. 3%. 3%. Like, that's terrible. And these are people's dreams and livelihoods. So to be able to positively impact them by like what I've learned the hard way, right? And then there's a way with one of the core sales operating systems that I have that basically helps them scale revenue from customer referrals by giving first to grow their business. I think, there could be potentially an impact of 100 million people that are on the positive side of that. And so those are pretty ambitious goals. That's where I'm at now. I got to do a little more math to make sure that all of it checks out. But that's what I'm saying right now. So if you hear me in a podcast and it's $1 billion, in a year, or it's 10,000, that I checked the math. So
the math right now is saying 100 million, but we don't know what the math tomorrow will bring.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's a great goal. Aim as high as you can, because even if you only impact 1 million people, that's 1 million people whose lives are changed thanks to you.
Yeah, and I would love that, man. I love that. I mean, revenue, so funny. Like creating revenue, it's crushed me to my knees before. It's given me some of the highest highs. And then I see it's really hard for a lot of people to do. So I feel like right now that's my gift that I could help people with. So I'd love an opportunity to do that.
Pardon me. Now you have a podcast. You just recently started. It's nearly a year old now, and you've closing into about 100 episodes of your show. How have you found it helped your business, having the podcast?
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the beautiful things is I've just met some amazing people, that I've had on my podcast, different perspectives, and so I would say that's probably the number one thing is just the level of people I've been able to meet and engage with, and I've always met and engaged with people. I find it fascinating too, to be able to interview someone and deconstruct like how they've been able to, what looks like to magic to everybody else, achieve the impossible, right? And so I love learning like that. And then, at the same time, I'm working on growing it more. I'm in the process of relaunching it, I think, just because my messaging needs to be a little bit tighter with the audience that I'm serving. So yeah, man, that's what I would say are the primary benefits. And then, at the same time, it's credibility and other benefits from a brand perspective. So.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with you. I love podcasting, being in the industry for the last 6 years, and the amount of people you meet from this and their stories, it's insane, and how they actually can bring you your next client sometimes, or bring you your next guest. So yeah, no, that's mainly a great benefit of the podcast. And I want to know, out of all the podcasts you've done, do you have a favorite moment that maybe stands out, or something that just strikes you as like, I really enjoyed this interaction or this interview? Not saying it's your favorite. I'm just saying, is there one that just sticks out? Because we don't like to play favorites.
Yeah, man. That's a really, really great question. I haven't really thought like, hey, what's my favorite moment that I've had that's stuck out? I would say, you know what, and I'm not going to get too hyper specific, but there's some really great relationships where there's people like even friendships that I've created out of it. So, and usually when that happens, it comes from a mutual place of like, I'm trying to help that person and they're trying to help me. And then you guys kind of hit it off along the way.
Mm-hmm.
So there's situations like that I think are, amazing moments that you have. Like the other thing too, man. And then like, there's people that you normally wouldn't talk to. Like, I interviewed the founder of Travelocity and former chairman of Kayak, right?
Wow.
They grew them to $1 billion exit. Yeah. And so like, it was just interesting hearing that person's perspective. His name is Terry Jones on how he grew that, how he views things. It's really sharp in terms of innovation and other aspects. So.
That's incredible that you had the opportunity to have someone who has had $1 billion exit with 2 companies like that. Now, we're coming close to the end here. I would love to know, what would be your lesson you would love to leave the audience with? If you could just tell them one lesson, like if you're listening to this, the too long didn't listen to version, what's that one lesson you want them to walk away with?
Yeah, I think like one of the most important things is that, and earlier in my career, like I sacrificed my growth and my dreams to become a top performer at my job. And I say job because it was a job, right? And there's some benefits to doing that, and sometimes you got to do that. But that was one of the biggest mistakes I think I made earlier in my career. And so like, I guess like what I would tell people is that you're never going to feel like you're ready to leave and do your own thing. You're never going to feel like you're ready to have kids. And there's a lot of situations like that where you never feel like you're going to be ready. And that's usually the time when you need to do it most. So I think that's something that I would give as a big takeaway is that, I should have started my company like 3 years ago. I was miserable for a while working in the corporate environment, and it was safe. And so I stayed with it. And, there's some good things I learned, some amazing people I met. However, it's going to be hard no matter when you make the jump. Just make the jump when you really, really know you should, which I didn't. I was trying to be safe. So that's a big lesson that I'd love for anybody to have.
So sometimes just roll the dice and go with it, and you'll see if you'll succeed. I like it. Yeah.
Yeah. The worst thing's going to happen is you're not going to be successful. And, Tim Ferriss actually has a pretty cool exercise around this. He did a TED talk on it about fear setting. And so it's basically if you want to make a big change in your life, it's a TED talk. So you watch it. It's like 9 minutes. It's Tim Ferriss, fear setting. And basically all it is writing down the worst possible scenarios if things just don't work out like you anticipate. And 9.5 times out of 10, you're going to realize that it's much bigger in your head than the actual result will be. And it gives you the courage to move forward and make that leap.
I love how you mentioned Tim Ferriss, because he has been a kind of a near constant topic in this season of the podcast, because we're coming up into my favorite section of the podcast. It's the book recommendation. Something I did steal from Tim Ferriss's Tools of the Titans book. What is one book that you would suggest someone who is kind of like on the fence jumping into the entrepreneurial world, would you suggest they read that will convince them to go into it?
This book.
U Squared.
U Squared. Yeah, I just recommended this on another podcast I was on. The book's only 36 pages. And a mentor of mine who absolutely amazing person, he recommended that everybody in his mastermind reads that book once a week. And it's only 36 pages, but it's highly impactful. And it's about unwinding a lot of the conditioning that people have to change from incremental thinking to exponential thinking. And, it's really eye-opening because for example, it's like common sense will get you common results. It's usually uncommon sense that gives uncommon results, right? And if you want to do big things, you can't just always take the road that's been traveled, So also this book, I've heard from people, has been the book that multiple billionaires have recommended reading as well. So it's by Price Pritchett is his name. He's got a PhD, does a lot of stuff. And then he's got a follow-up book called the U Squared Strategy. I think it's called U Squared Strategy. But literally it's got so many impactful things that I printed it out and put it on my wall as a reminder in terms of the big traps that people make. Yeah.
Well, if that is not a ringing endorsement for a book, I don't know what is. Ryan, we're coming to the end of the show. I'm going to jump off screen. I'm going to give you the full screen. I want you to let people know where they can find you, how they get in contact with you, so that they can have the same amazing results you did as well. So here you go, sir.
Yes, you could find me at ryanstaley.io. Feel free to check out my podcast there. I have content. In addition, I have a free resource for you, the listener. It's www.scalerevenue.io/10x, www.scalerevenue.io/10x.
Excellent. Ryan, I want to thank you so much for being a guest. The show notes will have all the links so that you can get the free resources. Check out Ryan's podcast. I highly suggest that there are great podcasts. I'm definitely checking out the one with the Travelocity and Kayak guy, because that is going to be must have been a fantastic interview. And who doesn't want to talk with someone or listen to someone tell about their story of exiting with $1 billion? Like, come on. Ryan, thank you again for being a guest. It was a pleasure talking with you and hearing your story. And I look forward to working with you in the future.
Yeah, it was excellent, Phil. Thank you so much for having me on.
All right. Remember, guys, to invest in yourself.
Thanks for tuning in. Now it's time to take the next step. When you're ready to dive deeper into how to launch, grow, and monetize your podcast, Phil's got something special for you. Join him for a free webinar where he'll reveal the 3 secrets that have helped countless entrepreneurs succeed in podcasting. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot, and let's turn your podcasting dreams into reality.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.